What if I told you that most people don't have a money problem? They have a money system problem. You can work harder, you can earn more, you can even get a raise, and still feel like you're getting nowhere. Because there's a trap that millions of Americans fall into without realizing it. The more they earn, the more they spend. The bigger the paycheck becomes, the bigger the lifestyle becomes. And somehow, at the end of every month, there's still nothing left. But here's the part that might surprise you. Getting rich isn't always about making more money. Sometimes, it's about breaking the system that's designed to make you spend every dollar you make. And in this video, we're going to break down exactly how that system works, why so many people get trapped inside it, and the simple shift that can completely change your financial future. Because the biggest threat to your wealth might not be your income. It might be what happens to your money after you get paid. Let's imagine two people. Person A makes $50,000 a year. Person B makes $150,000. At first glance, you'd assume person B is doing much better. But here's the problem. Person A spends $48,000 a year. Person B spends $150,000. So who is actually building wealth? The answer isn't determined by income. It's determined by the gap between what you earn and what you keep. This is what I call the paycheck trap. You get a raise, you upgrade your apartment, you get a better car, you start eating out more, you upgrade your phone, you take more expensive vacations, and suddenly, that raise is gone. Then you get another raise, and the exact same thing happens again. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the quietest ways people stay financially stuck, because your lifestyle grows, but your financial freedom doesn't. And here's where the trap gets even more interesting. The world around you is constantly encouraging you to spend. Your phone shows you products. Your social media shows you lifestyles. Your credit card makes spending feel painless. And every day, you're being told, directly or indirectly, you deserve this.
Let's take something incredibly simple. $10. You spend $10 on coffee, another $10 on lunch, another $10 on something you didn't really plan to buy. None of these purchases feel life-changing, and that's exactly why they're dangerous. Because the problem isn't one $10 purchase. The problem is repetition. $10 today doesn't feel like much, but $10 every day becomes roughly $300 a month. That's $3,600 a year. And over many years, the opportunity cost can become significant, especially if that money could have been invested and allowed to compound. This is where most people make a mistake. They ask, "Can I afford this?" But wealthy thinking asks a different question. What could this money become? That's a completely different mindset, because every dollar has two possible futures. You can consume it today, or you can give it a chance to grow. Now let's talk about something even more powerful: debt. Debt isn't always bad. A mortgage can help you buy a home. A student loan can sometimes help you invest in education. Business debt can help build a company. But consumer debt can become a completely different story, because when you buy something with borrowed money, you're not just buying the product, you're also buying the interest, and sometimes you're buying years of future payments. Think about a credit card purchase. You buy something today, you enjoy it today, but the bill arrives later, and if you don't pay it off, the purchase keeps costing you. This creates a dangerous psychological effect. You experience the pleasure immediately, but the pain is delayed, and humans are naturally attracted to immediate rewards. That's why credit can be so powerful. It separates the moment you spend from the moment you feel the cost. And if you keep doing this repeatedly, your future income starts paying for your past decisions. Read that again. Your future income is paying for your past lifestyle. That's how people become trapped. Here's a question. Where does your money actually go? Not where you think it goes. Where does it actually go? Because most people know their biggest expenses: rent, mortgage, car payment, insurance. But the real problem is often hidden inside the small expenses: subscriptions you forgot about, delivery fees, impulse purchases, convenience spending, upgrades you didn't need, small recurring charges. Each one looks harmless, but together, they create a money leak. Imagine your financial life as a bucket. Your paycheck fills the bucket, but if there are tiny holes everywhere, the water slowly disappears. You don't notice one drop. You notice the problem when the bucket is almost empty. That's exactly what happens with money. And the solution isn't necessarily to stop spending everything. It's to find the leaks. Because when you control the leaks, you create money that can be redirected toward your future. And this brings us to the most important question. What should you do with the money you don't spend? This is where the game changes. Instead of asking, how can I spend less? Start asking, how can I make my money work? Because saving money is only the first step. The next step is putting your money to work. For many people, that might mean building an emergency fund first, then paying down high-interest debt, then investing consistently for long-term goals. The exact strategy depends on your situation, but the principle is simple. Don't let every dollar you earn disappear into consumption. Create a gap, earn money, keep some, then give that money a job. Because money sitting idle may not grow enough to keep up with inflation over the long term. But money invested in productive assets has the potential to grow. And this is where compound growth becomes powerful. You don't need to become rich overnight. You need to give your money time. Because the earlier you start, the more time your money has to potentially grow. The goal isn't to find one magical investment. The goal is to build a system you can stick with. Here's one of the biggest mistakes people make. They wait. They say, I'll start investing when I make more. I'll save when I get a better job. I'll deal with my debt next year. I'll start when life becomes easier. But life rarely becomes perfectly convenient. There's always another expense, another emergency, another reason to wait. And that's why starting small can be so powerful. You don't need to start with thousands of dollars. You need to start with a habit. Even a small amount can teach you something important. Your future deserves to be paid too. Think about your paycheck. Most people pay everyone else first. The landlord gets paid. The credit card company gets paid. The phone company gets paid. The streaming services get paid. And then, whatever is left goes to you. But financially disciplined people try to reverse the order. They decide in advance what portion of their income goes toward their future. Then they build their lifestyle around what's left. That's the shift. Not perfection, not extreme frugality, just intentionality. Here's a simple framework you can think about. Imagine your income divided into 3 buckets. Bucket number 1, your life today, housing, food, transportation, bills, the things you need to live. Bucket number 2, your protection, emergency savings, insurance, debt management, the things that protect you from financial disasters. Bucket number 3, your future, investments, retirement, long-term wealth. The exact percentages will be different for everyone, but the idea is powerful because if all your money goes into bucket 1, you can survive today, but struggle tomorrow. If you focus only on bucket 3 and ignore bucket 2, one emergency can force you to sell investments or take on expensive debt. The goal is balance. Build a life you can enjoy today, while also building a future you won't regret tomorrow. So here's the real secret. The people who build wealth aren't necessarily the people who earn the most. They're often the people who create a system and follow it consistently. They understand that wealth is usually boring. It's not about constantly finding the next hot stock. It's not about becoming rich overnight. It's not about showing everyone how successful you are. It's about making smart decisions repeatedly. Earn, save, protect, invest, repeat. And over time, those boring decisions can become incredibly powerful because your financial future isn't created by one huge decision. It's created by hundreds of small decisions, repeated for years. So the next time you get paid, don't just ask, how much money did I make? Ask, how much of that money did I keep? And then ask the question that matters even more. How much of the money I kept is actually working toward my future? Because the goal isn't to stop enjoying your life. The goal is to stop accidentally sacrificing your future for things you don't even remember buying. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be rich. You just need to become intentional, because financial freedom isn't usually built in one giant moment. It's built quietly, one paycheck, one decision, and one habit at a time. If this video made you rethink the way you use your money, subscribe for more simple, practical finance videos. And here's my question for you. What's one money habit you're changing this year? Let me know in the comments, because your financial future might be closer than you think.